Greg Gibson. Welcome to Sweden. Welcome to the Le Mans Griffins. I'm sure the people back home want to hear a little bit more about you. Can you tell us a little bit about Greg Gibson, the person?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Carl. Greg Gibson, the person, is a family man. I have a wife, my wonderful, beautiful wife, Tina, and I have just moved here a little bit ago. I'm from Connecticut in the U.S. and have been a football coach for about 15 years. And I'm an intense person, but I'm a fair person, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to be here.
What about Greg Gibson, the coach? Can you summarize and describe yourself as a coach a little bit?
Sure. Kind of like my personality, a little bit about myself. I'm the same type of coach. I'm intense on the field, but I'm also fair. When the whistle blows, it's time to go, and when it's time to make that tough decision, I'm ready to make that tough decision. I think a team will take on the personality of their coach, and that's why I keep that intense attitude, when the whistle blows and we keep going. Offensively, I'm a high-tempo coach. We're going to try to run a lot of plays. Defensively, we're going to be a nuts and bolts kind of organization where we're not going to be overly aggressive. We're going to play. We're going to give you the underneath stuff, and hopefully teams start to get greedy and take the chance. That's when we're going to create the turnovers. But basically, we're a lunch pail group. We're going to come, we're going to work hard, and we're going to be ready to go every week. Every week, we'll be prepared to play.
So you've already been here for a few weeks. Tell us about some of your first impressions of Sweden, but also of the club.
Well, obviously, it's a culture shock. Coming here, it's a little bit different in a societal sense, but my first impressions of the Griffins as an organization is a top-notch group, and we've had a little bit of work so far, and what I've seen from the group here is the willingness to work. From the technical side, there needs to be a lot more work, but we can give as much motivation as possible, but if the group doesn't have it inside, it's very difficult to be successful. And from what I've seen so far is the group has that motivation already inside. So when things get a little dull, we'll be ready to motivate them. We'll kick the music. We'll get them going. I've noticed that they have that motivation, and it's very similar to what I'm used to in the States. And it's a good thing to see as we're here so far.
But football is very different than back home. But what do you know so far about football in Sweden and in general, but of course the Super Series in particular?
Sure. Social media can be a bad thing, but it also can be a great thing. So when I was coming to Sweden, one of the first things I did was look through Twitter and Facebook and found the organizations here, and I was able to read up on the Super Series, and I knew that football in general in Europe was good, and I knew Sweden was one of the top groups outside of Austria and Germany. I knew Sweden as a football playing country was good. Obviously, it's a little bit different than home for the fact that there's not as much practice time, and it's a club as opposed to an organization tied to a school, where funding happens at the collegiate and high school level in the States. It's more booster and club driven here in Sweden, which is a huge difference, and it makes for a lot more challenges because people have to work obviously a lot harder on the financial side of it. And then when it comes to the product on the field, you're only practicing 2 or 3 times a week, where in the States, it's a 7-day-a-week thing. Coaches are putting in, 4 or 5 hours a day just in football-related issues and film work, practice, and the players are asked to do the same. They're asked to come to practice for 2.5 hours, then sit and film, then go to the weight room and train, all that on top of going to school. Here, the issue is people are in families and have a lot of work commitments and family commitments that makes it a little bit more difficult to kind of tie that all together. Those are the biggest issues between the two, and our goal is to really maximize the amount of time that we put into football while we're here. So our practices, when the horn blows, we're ready to go, we're moving, and our hour and a half, 2-hour practice are completely maximized by not taking any downtime. We're moving, we're learning, we're getting better every day, and that's the focus that we're going to use.
Good, thank you. You're taking on the job as head coach in a club with very high ambition, but also, let's face it, 2 seasons of losing record behind us. Is it a frightening or a nice challenge? And did you ever think twice about taking on this job?
Frightening, no, because I love challenges, and I knew, there's only one direction the Griffins can go, and that's up. And as far as thinking twice about it, the only thing I had to think about is I'm a loyal person, and I was with another organization and was loyal to them. But to be honest and true to myself, I knew the challenge lied at the Super Series level for me here in Sweden, and for me to push to the top as personally, but at satisfaction level, was to coach in the Super Series and was to coach a program that was coming off a 3-win season, to get that team short term to the playoffs, but ultimately to win a championship. And I know it can be done. Is the challenge frightening? No. It means I just got to work harder, and that's something I really relish and I look forward to. And I think, actually, I know that we'll get it done here in Malmo and with the Griffins.
But you're also taking over the job as head coach at a time where there is quite large changes to the coaching staff. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage for you to quickly get a grip of the team and get ready for the next season?
Disadvantage in terms of coming in without any knowledge or anything. We did hold over one of the coaches from the staff last year, but the rest of the staff is a complete teardown. What we're trying to do is tear down the culture that was here before and establish a new culture. And that, what I think, is an advantage of having a new coaching staff. With a new coaching staff, you can start to really put forth your new ideas, the new tempo, the new family atmosphere that we're trying to create here. Going back to kind of what we talked about, the difference between the U.S. and football here in Sweden is there's more of a family atmosphere around a program. When you can bring a group together, the ceiling is the limit. There is no limit to how good you can be, because you have that brotherhood and you have that feeling of camaraderie and solidarity, and that's good having a new staff, because we can really plug that in right at the beginning and build on that, and we can get better as a staff every day. We can get better as a group every day, and will only ultimately lead to a championship.
Thank you. There are a lot of changes planned during this off-season. Are you able to share some of those things that you're doing to make the 2016 Griffins radically different, or are they all secrets at this time?
They're all secrets this time. Nothing can be told. I can't give you any of we have top secret folder, and no one has access, including the viewers at home. But no, to be serious, one of the things that we're doing is we're really, really trying to change the culture, as I talked about before. And it's an attitude that we need to take. So we're starting that now. And that is our practices that are once a week. We're getting after it. Our guys the expectation is to be here. The coaches are going to be here pushing you. The players are here to work hard. And when you're here, it's 100% go the entire time. That's kind of the major secret that we're going to unleash on Sweden this year. Is our guys are going to be tougher. They're going to be in better shape, and they're going to be physically ready for an entire Super Series season. And that's something that I think we can use to our advantage. As far as I know, right now there's the teams at the top are getting better. They're working hard, and without naming those teams, that's what we're trying to aspire to. We have to close that gap really, really quick, and to work the way we're working right now, the future's bright, but there's a lot of work to do, and that's what the big secret that we're bringing to Sweden right now, is that attitude.
Sounds very promising. I think it's a little bit too early. I'm going to come back to pressuring you about predictions for the Griffins in this year's Super Series. But let's talk a little bit about the NFL and your predictions there, because for a guy having lived for a long time in Massachusetts, I know you have some very, very controversial affiliations when it comes to teams that you support.
Sure.
Tell us more, and who's going to grab the Super Bowl at the end of the season.
Well, I think it's tough to predict who's going to be that champion, because it comes down to who is going to be the hottest at a time. If you look back 2007, being from Massachusetts, I was surrounded by Patriots fans. I am not a Patriots fan. I'm a Giants fan, and back in 2007, the Patriots were by far, hands down, the best team in the NFL. What it took was a team with a quarterback that got hot at the end of the season and a defense that was opportunistic. Combine that with good coaching, and that's a success for a formula for a successful final. To go out on a limb to say who's going to win the Super Bowl, the Patriots again are the best team in the league. I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers have one of the more complete teams in the league as well. The Cincinnati Bengals are one of those teams that are complete. But if I was to go out right now and say who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, I would have to say the Patriots. Coaching, attitude, and having the best quarterback in the league is going to take them a long way. And again, their preparation is better than anybody's in the league. So when it comes to being an opportunistic defense and creating turnovers and making big plays at the right time, similar to the Super Bowl last year, I think the Seahawks were the best team, but the Patriots made that interception, made the play that play in the last play of the game, and kind of sealed it. And that's coaching and preparation and being opportunistic. So, but I would have to say the Patriots.
Looks a little bit like it was painful to say that.
It was extremely painful. I have a despise for the Patriots, mostly their fans, but the Patriots. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
All right, thank you. I'm excited to come back and start pressuring you a little bit on the predictions for the Griffins in this Super Series a little bit later. But welcome to Sweden again. Welcome to the Griffins.
Great, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time, and thanks for having me on the show.